Who dat to the Who Dat Nation? Welcome to the Dome Patrol Podcast, your podcast for the New Orleans Saints here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed. In the preseason of the 2024-25 season is over. We have wrapped up. It has gone final, and I am super excited. If you can't tell, I'm super excited because this means the real season begins now. It's for all the marbles now. The next time the New Orleans Saints takes the field, it will count. It will matter. It will be for something other than positions and position battles and whatnot. This will be the real deal. We have entered, and in case you can't hear that, I think you could pick it up on the microphone because I heard it in my headphones. It is thundering and lightning here in southeastern Louisiana, which is good because we haven't gotten rain in weeks. I want to say for the whole month of August almost, it hasn't rained. So it's finally time to get some rain. But that's it for the weather report. The Saints have gone final in their final preseason game against the Tennessee Titans, where they came up short by the score of 30-27. The Saints finished this preseason 1-2, and who cares about the record right now? I use the example. You remember the year that the Detroit Lions went 0-16? That epic year when they won not one game that entire year? Well, wouldn't you know, the Detroit Lions that year went 4-0 in the preseason. And so that just goes to show you how much credence the preseason lives up to when it matters. It really doesn't matter. And so, yes, the Saints did finish with a losing record in the preseason. I guess you can look at that and be like, oh my God, the the sky is falling. We're not going to do anything. Look, I'm not going to judge it off of that. This game in particular, I'm not going to judge it. I didn't care if we won and lost any game, but especially this one because we didn't play any starters. Maybe a handful of starters played in this game. This was more of a job audition, to say it kindly. This was for those position battles that were going on since the beginning of training camp. Some of these players are playing for their playoff lives, if you will, or playoff lives, their football lives. If it's not for the New Orleans Saints, they're auditioning for 31 other teams. You know, they want to put something on tape that hopefully will get them a job, if not here in the NO, somewhere where they can showcase their talent. So this is what this is all about. And for us, we had a few position battles that are still tight going into this game. And a couple of them, I will say, leaving this game are still tight. It's still some question marks as to who's going to be the clear-cut number 1, 2, or 3 in their respective positions. But let's look at this game. This game, just like we only had a handful of starters, Tennessee actually played a majority of their starters in this game. Will Levis played the starting quarterback for the Titans. He played a couple of starters on their offensive line and their wide receivers and running backs. They played because they're trying to implement a new offense over there as well. You know, Tennessee has a new head coach, new offensive coordinator, just new. Everything is new. It's over there. And so they're trying to work out the bugs and the kinks, and that's understandable. It's the same thing with the Saints to a degree. We have a new offense that we're implementing under Clint Kubiak. And so there are a couple of players who normally probably would have sat under any other circumstances, got a little reps, but we didn't have as many starters play in this game as the Tennessee Titans did. And you could tell when in their first quarter, especially, it was like night and day talent wise, but that's neither here nor there. The big position battle that has been the talk of the town since the beginning of camp going into the preseason games and into this game is, of course, who will be the backup to Derek Carr? Who is going to take that next step as the clear number 2 in the QB room? And that battle was between Spencer Rattler and Jake Haynard, who both quarterbacks I am huge fans of. Both quarterbacks I can clearly see a future with this club. I can see as a future quarterback of this team. I am truly a fan. I will go as far to say I like them more than I like Derek Carr. And I make no bones about it. Derek Carr is I'm up and down with Derek Carr, just to put it nicely, I guess. It's Sunday, so I want to be kind. Um, Derek Carr isn't on my Christmas list. I'll just put it that way. But these two young quarterbacks have been doing an excellent job, I feel, throughout this preseason. Yes, there have been some games where they didn't look well, one game in particular, and that was last week against the 49ers. They struggled in that game, but they wasn't horrible, but they struggled nonetheless. But today was the day. Sunday was the day against the Tennessee Titans. This was the game. We're going to see who will catapult themselves further than the other to make to give us a clear-cut winner. The other positions that for me were super glaring that we needed a decision on, somebody to step up on, was this receiver. This number 3 receiver, to put it plainly here. We know we have Olave as our 1. That's a given. We also know we have Shadeed and as the 2, I guess, but we know those 2 receivers are locked in. Who's the other receiver? Is it A.T. Perry? Is it Cedric Wilson? Is it St. Brown? Is it Bud Means? Who's gonna step up and be that number 3 guy? Because going into this game, I couldn't tell you who. I honestly couldn't tell you who was going to step up. And, of course, the offensive line. Will we get this offensive line straight? Are we finally going to see an offensive line that can protect, that can run block, can open up holes for our running backs? Are we going to see that in this offensive line this Sunday? I was worried that they were going to sit a lot of stars, and they did. I think Cesar Ruiz didn't play. I think I could be mistaken, but I think Eric McCoy didn't play as well. But I wanted to see our draft pick, Tallahassee. I wanted to see him play, and of course, everybody wants to see what is Trevor Penning going to do. And so these are the biggest bugaboos. There are other positions as well, but those are my 3 main position battles in this preseason. Let's start with the offensive line. Let's go there first. Because this was the biggest thing at one point, especially at the start of camp and in preseason. What's the change there? Because there needed to be a change. There needed to be a change. Is a lot of question marks with this offensive line with Trevor Penning, who was drafted as your left tackle. You moved him to right tackle. You drafted Tallahassee Fuega who is a right tackle, but moved him to left tackle. And it was confusing to me, still is confusing to me in a way, but I kind of got it. There were early struggles, of course, but those struggles were infuriating for the reason Trevor Penning, I don't know. It's like they're trying to force feed Trevor Penning to us. And it just ain't working. It just felt like it wasn't working. It still doesn't. Despite the fact this was probably Trevor Penning's best game. This was honestly, not just in this preseason, probably in his career. This was probably his best game. And that's not saying much because he was really going up against the 2s and the 3s for the Tennessee Titans on that defensive line. So I'm not really ready to say that, okay, he finally turned the corner. I'm not going there. But he did look good. He opened up some holes. He actually blocked well, which is, he went up against the twos and the threes last week and he looked horrible. And so there is a little improvement there. I'm not going to poo-poo on him completely. So he did do a good job today. The offensive line actually looked great today. They did. I don't have much to rag on about the offensive line. They protected both of our quarterbacks pretty well, whether it was Spencer Rattler or Jake Hader in the game. They were protected pretty well. And so good job to that. And when the run game was going, and it was going, the run game looked really, really good today. It didn't matter if it was Jordan Mims or James Robinson or Jacob Kabodi. They all ran the ball fairly well today. And so, and that's a testament to the offensive line opening up some huge holes. You could have landed a jumbo jet inside of the holes that they were opening up for our running backs. Great job, good job. I mean, I really can't rag on them. Normally, I was all set and ready to rag on my offensive line today because I've been used to it because I've been doing it all preseason. But today, I can't rag on them. Now, there's still some question marks there. There are still plays where I saw Trevor Penning whiff on a tackle, or whiff on a block, I should say. Luckily, our quarterbacks were able to get the ball out a little swiftly and not turn the ball over or have to eat a sack or anything like that. But to put it plainly, Trevor Penning, I personally think he should be moved inside. I would like to see him at guard. I believe he'll do better on the inside, whether it's left guard or right guard. I think he would do better because on the outside he struggles, man. He struggles, but he's mean. He's one of those mean offensive linemen who just bully people, can throw people around. And that's what you want on the inside, the interior of your offensive line. So I think he's more suited there. I think they should have tried him out there. But at the same time, I'm like, man, how many places you going to put him to try to convince us that you made the right choice? You made the wrong choice. The guy, and I get it, he graded high during the draft. I get why you made the pick. But it just didn't pan out. And trying to force feed him on his offensive line, it's not going to work. But he did all right today. He did all right today. The thing about it is I really can't get into the offensive line because I don't know what we can do to fix that. The offensive line is a close-knit group. That's something that has to develop in time. Whether you bring in new pieces or draft new pieces, whatever the case may be, everybody has to be on the same page. And so you can't really bring somebody in and just plug them in and expect them to, fix the problem. You've been working on this the whole off season with these guys. If they haven't gotten it together by now, it's not going to get together, unfortunately. And it stinks, but that's just the reality of it. So it looked like they got a little better today. It looks like they've been working together more. And so I am encouraged. And I'll just leave it at that. I am encouraged. But the wide receiver position, another position where we're looking for that next person to step up, that next receiver who's going to wow us, that's going to force his way on this team. You know what I'm saying? That standard, like Rashid Shaheed did, how he forced his way on this team because he was an undrafted rookie. And all of a sudden, he found a way to get on the team. He returned kicks. Okay, good job. Made an impact there. Okay, let's see how he looks, running routes. He made an impact there. Whatever opportunity he had, whatever door was open, he ran through it. He didn't just stand there and look. He ran through it. He seized the opportunity, something that we should do in life. A very inspirational story there. And he took it by the horns and rode it. And so I'm looking for that next person to do that. Is it A.T. Perry? Is it St. Brown? Is it Stanley Morgan Jr.? Is it Bud Means? You know, who is that guy? Kevin Austin Jr. Is it that guy? I don't know. I'm still on the fence with it. We didn't see much of Cedric Wilson this preseason. Didn't see him at all this game. He didn't play. But the other guys, nothing. You know, the Kua guy. I can't think of his first name, but the Pakua guy. I thought he felt himself well in previous games. Today, he almost returned a missed field goal for a touchdown. I think this probably was the longest play in NFL history to not score. He had to run 108 yards. He caught that ball at the back of the end zone, ran all the way down the field, ran out of gas, I believe. I think he was tired, and stepped out at the 2-yard line right before he could have crossed over. That was epic, but it was a nice run. I really liked the run. Probably can use him in the special teams game as a returner, I believe, because that was some nice running by him. Anyways, who will step up? I'm guessing Cedric Wilson probably got that spot. He's probably the 3. You know, he's probably going to be that go-to. But A.T. Perry proved himself to be in consideration, I believe, especially in this game. He had 2 catches for 67 yards today, but he could have had more. It was one catch they took. I thought it was a catch on the sideline there, but they said he didn't have both feet down or something like that. I don't know, but he proved himself well in this game. St. Brown had a good game. He had a touchdown today. He had 3 catches for 40 yards. He could have had more. Spencer Rattler threw a beautiful ball to him over his back shoulder, and he missed it. But nothing really stood out and impressed me. Nobody else really impressed me. I'm not even going to run through the list. You know, waste the time and run through the list of all these receivers. Nobody stood out and impressed me. A.T. Perry just looked like A.T. Perry. Yeah, the same. We saw the same last year to this year. It's the same. I will note this, and this isn't a receiver per se, but he is a tight end, and that is Juwan Johnson. Juwan Johnson, people, who was a wide receiver converted to a tight end. He's been in the doghouse ever since he signed that contract, to be honest with you. When he signed his contract, about a year or so ago, it's not the same Juwan Johnson. 1, he stays hurt. 2, he doesn't make an impact in any shape, form, or fashion. And today, and I know we shouldn't judge people off of one play, but there was a play where a ball hit him dead in the chest. I think it was a 3rd down, or it could have been a 2nd down. Crucial play. Wide open. Nobody within 5 yards of him. He just flat out dropped it. And now, he wasn't the only one with the case of the droppies. It was a lot of receivers that dropped a lot of balls today who didn't help out our 2 quarterbacks in this battle. But that one stood out so much to me. Because, dude, you're already on the hot seat here. And you're not doing yourself no favors by dropping that wide open throw. Right in front of him, it wasn't a deep pass that he had to contort his body in midair to do. It was none of that. It was just a flat out drop. Anywho's, the wide receiver positions. I don't know, because you got to have this cut down by Tuesday. I don't know who's going to make this team here, because Saints have a lot of receivers on the roster right now. And to get it down to 53, that means there's going to be a lot of tough cuts. And I think a lot of those cuts are going to come in that wide receiver room. There's that rookie who was an early standout in camp. I think his name was Yeldon or Tifton. I think Tifton. Mason Tifton from Yale was a standout. I couldn't wait to see him because that's all I could hear. Doing my research, what's going on in camp, being as though they went all the way to California to have camp, and I couldn't watch them here, so I had to read up on it. Every day I'm hearing about this dude. And I'm like, man, I can't wait. As soon as it come time to start playing, he gets hurt. And we didn't get to see him. Will that hurt? No pun intended. His chances to make the team. I don't know. We'll see. But everybody describes him as that guy, the speed guy. He has ludicrous speed. That is rare. That's something you can't teach, and you don't want to really let that go. And I get that. So we'll see about that and the rest of this receiving core moving forward. All right, let's go. Let's move on to the spot that we all been waiting for. The battle that has taken over the Saints training camp. This backup position, the backup quarterback position. Who's going to back up Derek Carr? Will it be Spencer Rattler? Will it be Jake Hader? This was the game. It was so evenly matched. And I can honestly say it's been dead even going into this game between these two guys. You couldn't make heads or tails of either one. Both of them are impressive. It wasn't heads or tails like, well, they both look like trash, so it doesn't matter. No, these guys looked great. I would go as far to say that both of these guys look more comfortable in this offense, in this new offense that Clint Kubiak has brought over here than Derek Carr. They looked awesome so far. And so we needed a game that was going to give us a clear, decisive winner. And I can honestly say it's not clear in the sense that I'm like, oh, without a doubt it's Hader, or without a doubt it's Rattler. I don't have that sense coming out of it. Now I can tell you who was better in this game by leaps and bounds. It was Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler was the best. Just to compare the two stats, Spencer Rattler was 7 for 13 for 105 yards and a touchdown today. Jake Hader, he was 8 for 17 for 87 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. So just going by the numbers, yeah, it would be Rattler. Going by how poised they were, I will go with Rattler. He looked better. It's no doubt about it. He looked great in this game. Some of those throws he was making were NFL level throws, and I know that sounds crazy because, of course, he's in the NFL. But there are veterans. You know what? There's a veteran quarterback on his team that couldn't make some of those throws. Why I know that? Because he hasn't done it. I'm not saying that he's not capable of doing it. He hasn't done it yet. And so Spencer Rattler has made some throws. He made some throws in this game that were amazing. They were just beautiful throws. And so did Jake Hader. I'm not hating on him either. He made some good throws. Those two were really kind of hampered by the wide receivers. There were a lot of drops in this game. A lot of drops by the receivers. And it did them no favors. It did those guys no favors whatsoever. It didn't do themselves any favors by dropping it either. But Spencer Rattler clearly looked like he's the most comfortable. He's the most NFL ready in the event something, knock on wood, happens to Derek Carr. I feel super confident going forward if Spencer Rattler had to come in the game to relieve him. I feel like we still have a chance to win the game. My heart tells me, yeah, same thing with Jake Hader. I'm just comfortable with both. Honestly, I don't think we can go wrong with either one. But who deserves to be the number two? I guess I have to give it to Rattler because of this final game. If this is the final test, he did pass the test. And so I got to give it to him there. But we'll see what Dennis Allen and Clint Kubiak decide in the next coming days as far as who's going to be the number two. I keep wanting to say starter. I guess that's what I want. And that's what I want. Honestly, that's what I want. But I want to say this, and I thought about it during the game. I really don't want that. I say I want that. I don't want that right now. I don't want to throw him to the wolves right now. I much rather whoever it may be to sit, learn for a little while, get comfortable in his offense, and when the time is right, that's when you unleash. That's when you bring him out there. We have Derek Carr. For better or worse, that's who's here. That's the guy who is tasked with leading this team to wherever he's going to lead it to this season. You know, he's being paid as such, and so that's what it is. And so we're just going to have to rock with it. But as far as the future is concerned, I feel very, very good about the future of this squad with these two quarterbacks on the team. The only big question remaining would be if, well, one of them is going to have to be the backup. It can't make both of them the backup. But are they going to keep 3 active quarterbacks on the roster? I would hope so. And I'm only hoping that because I don't want either guy to be placed on the practice squad because I know they're not going to be there long. You know, some team is going to come and scoop them up. They're just that good. They are just that good, honestly. And so I hope we can find a way to keep both of these gentlemen on the team so, you know, we can have a clear path of the future. That's my hopes. That's my prayer for this squad. The remainder of this game, let's break down this game. The Saints, as I said, lose this game 30-27. It didn't matter so much, but it was what it was. I already said the passing stats. Spencer Rattler led the team with 105 yards and a touchdown. Rushing, Jacob Kabodi, he was the leading rusher today with 12 carries for 59 yards and two touchdowns. Jordan Mims, 5 carries for 33 yards. James Robinson, he had 3 carries for 14 yards. Spencer Rattler had 2 carries for 13 yards as well. Another element to Spencer Rattler's arsenal, which kind of gives him the edge over Jake Hader. Now, Jake Hader isn't a statue in the pocket by no means, but Spencer Rattler does have a little bit more mobility, but his mobility is not Lamar Jackson mobility, like he looks to run. No, he is moving in the pocket to give his receivers time to break open downfield. His eyes stay down the field to see if he can get the ball down the field. And so that's what I really admire about him. But yeah, those were your leading rushers today. Leading receiver today was A.T. Perry with 2 catches for 67 yards. St. Brown, 3 catches for 40 yards and a touchdown. And Stanley Morgan had 3 catches for 34 yards. Bud Means, 2 catches for 17 yards. Jordan Mims, 2 catches for 14 yards. Team statistics, let's go with total net yardage. Saints had 300 yards on the dot as a team. The Tennessee Titans had 445 yards of total net yardage. Penalties today, Saints had 6 penalties to the Tennessee Titans 8. And time of possession, the Tennessee Titans had won that battle 35 minutes and 51 seconds to the Saints 24 minutes and 9 seconds. As we wrap up this preseason, I don't have much to say on the preseason, at least not right now. We'll break it down more when we next week when we have our upcoming regular season preview show, when I can break down everything that's going on after the roster is set, and we'll break down the schedule game by game, and I will give my final prediction as to what the record will be this season. And it's going to be a shock to all of you what I think that's the final record will be. But yeah, I don't have much to break down other than the fact I am impressed with this offense, this new offense. And we didn't even get to see the whole offense this preseason. The playbook wasn't wide open. It wasn't like we got to see all of the ins and outs of it, but we did see some changes. We saw play action. We saw motion. We saw short game, short passing game, the long passing game, the stretching of the field. We saw a lot in this offense so far that I am super excited about because we haven't seen it in so long here in New Orleans. So I am deeply encouraged by that. Now, the only caveat to that is the pieces. We can lay out a plan. We can formulate a surefire plan uh, to get to the Super Bowl. But if we don't have the right pieces to execute said plan, it's a waste of time. And that's the biggest question mark going forward. Is Derek Carr ready to step up and be that leader? Because he hasn't. He has not been that leader. Um, is the defense ready to turn the corner? Now, the defense has been a top 10 defense for the past few years, at least middle of the pack defense. Last year, they actually were a top 10 defense. I think they finished eighth in the league, 8th ranked defense overall, which is excellent, but you couldn't tell because the offense struggled so much. So I I'm ready for this defense, especially this defensive line, and that's one of the biggest encouragements I got out of this preseason is our defensive line. Talking about our starters now, with the addition of Chase Young, it's a whole new defense all of a sudden. Just that one piece that changed the whole fabric of this defense. The one thing that we were lacking, and I am so excited going forward to see how much of an impact that's going to make. To see we always had an excellent secondary with Lattimore, with uh, what's his name, Alante Taylor, Adebo. We got the Honey Badger back there. We got Jordan Howden back there. Our secondary looks amazing, has been amazing for a couple of seasons now. Now, with them being able to do their job and not being asked to cover for 20 minutes, because the pass rush is not getting there, is amazing. And so this is exciting. This is exciting going forward. I'm not overhyped about it because I'm truly awaiting more or less week 2. Week 1 I'm not super excited about because we open up against Carolina, and there's no reason we should lose that game. That being said, that's probably the one we're going to lose. But I want them to go out there and beat Carolina like they stole their money, like Carolina slapped their mama. That's the type of butt whooping I need you to give them. Show the world that they don't belong on the field with you. You know what I'm saying? And so we'll see. We'll see. We'll break all that down in the coming week or so. So yes, to wrap it all up, the Saints wrap up their preseason by losing to the Tennessee Titans by the score of 30-27. We are officially moving on to the regular season. Stuff then just got real. I want to know, what are you more excited about going into this season? And who do you think should be the backup to Derek Carr? Do you think it's Spencer Rattler, or do you think it's Jake Hader? I know it's tough when you really sit down and think about it. It's tough because both of those guys are pretty doggone good. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for this show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Also, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel on YouTube and like this video if you don't mind. Also, don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show on your social media feeds. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the Dome Patrol podcast here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you so much for joining me as we broke down all of these preseason games this preseason. And I'm looking forward to this season, this regular season, when we dive in to some Saints football every week. I am looking forward to it. I really am. And this was a year that I thought I wasn't going to do it because I was so mad last year. And I'm pretty sure you can go back and listen to my episodes when I broke down the Saints game, especially after like week 15 or 16, when I was done. I was done. I was like, man, this is it. This is it for the Dome Patrol podcast. I'm finished. I was so hot with Dennis Allen in the Saints at that point. But you know, the black and gold in me just won't. I'll bleed it. It's in my blood. I can't let it go. And hopefully this year, prayerfully this year, we don't have that same trauma that we went through for the past couple of years with this squad. I'm optimistic, but we shall see. And so don't forget, like I said a little while ago, in about a week or so, because the regular season doesn't begin until September the 8th when the Saints take on the Carolina Panthers. And so I got a week or so. You got a week or so to get amped up, to get your mind right, you know, to let it soak in, you know, to kind of temper expectations, because I know everybody's expectations are through the roof, because I have to pull mine down as well, especially when I see good play from certain positions that I hadn't seen in the past. It's, you know, so immediately my mind goes, all right, that's it. This is it. This is all that was missing. Now, like, wait, hold up. We still got this, that, and that. So I don't get overly excited, but everybody, please temper your expectations this season. Don't be screaming Super Bowl and all that. If it happens, it happens. But just be cool. Let's take care of the division first. Then we'll worry about the rest. Let the chips fall as they may, as they say. Everybody, thank you for joining me once again. I really do appreciate all of you guys' support on this show for the past couple of years. We have been rocking and rolling, and I couldn't do it without you. Can't wait to speak to you in a week or maybe 2 weeks, whenever the season starts. I don't know. Time is all relative at this point, but I will be back to preview this upcoming season. But until then, you're going to be able to hear me screaming from the top of my lungs, "Who dat?"